we're gonna try and predict who is going to dethrone every single current active champion in the WWE today. That means we're gonna look at all of the champions across the WWE's main roster, but also NXT. And we're gonna try and predict who will dethrone that champion and perhaps when they're gonna lose that championship. This is a monthly video series that gives us an opportunity to stop, slow down, and really analyze the current state of championship feuds and potential future championship feuds. And I purposely waited till closer to WrestleMania to do this just so that I could really understand the current landscape of WrestleMania feuds. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know you're gonna fall in love with this YouTube channel because we upload daily wrestling content. All right, let's get to it. The current tag team champions are members of Damage Control, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. In terms of dominance, they've actually been quite dominant in the women's tag team division to the point where I don't think that there's any active women's tag team that could realistically dethrone them and become new women's tag team champions. In the last video, I had predicted that the people that were going to dethrone the Kabuki Warriors was not going to be a traditional tag team. It was going to be two people coming together that aren't necessarily traditional tag team competitors, and they're going to be the ones to dethrone the Kabuki Warriors. That's why I predicted Bayley and Dakota Kai, and now with retrospect and the power of hindsight, this prediction has absolutely aged like fine curdled milk, because we had Dakota Kai turn heel on Bayley. Dakota Kai is pretty much the leader and the mouthpiece of Damage Control at this point, even though she's not the champion. So yeah, this never even came close. They did have a tag match against the Kabuki Warriors, but that's when Dakota Kai turned heel. What I thought was going to happen originally was that they were going to win the tag titles, and a la Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, while they're champions, Dakota Kai was going to turn on Bayley. I don't know. I figured something like that was going to happen. I will say I am sticking by the prediction that it is going to be two singles competitors coming together to become a tag team to try and dethrone the Kabuki Warriors, because the women's tag team division right now just isn't it. And I think it's gonna end up being Naomi and Bianca Belair. Right now, neither of these two have a program going into WrestleMania. You have to remember, I'm making this video a few days before the most recent episode of SmackDown, so as of right now, I have no idea if there is a feud in line for Naomi or Bianca Belair. The reason I'm picking these two is because Naomi, in the most recent episode of SmackDown that I've watched, went out and helped Bayley when she was being beaten up by all the members of Damage Control. The crowd was chanting EST, EST, hoping that Bianca Belair would come out, considering Bianca Belair and Naomi already had a backstage moment that hinted at some division between the two on how they feel about Damage Control, with Naomi wanting to give people like Bayley the benefit of the doubt, and Bianca Belair, rightfully so, I'm on her side here, not liking Bayley because of all of the shit that she put her through over the past year. But Bianca Belair is the quintessential hero of the women's division. A lot of people compare her to the John Cena of the PG era. And if that's the case, the heroes are always the ones to put their differences aside to help those that even they might not necessarily like. And I think that could be the case with Bianca Belair, where she does eventually come to the aid of Bayley, not necessarily for the sake of helping Bayley, but maybe Naomi's being beaten down again and she's out there to help Naomi, which could set up a match between the Kabuki Warriors and Naomi. And of course, Bianca Belair. Additionally, as of the making of this video, Asuka's knee is injured. Now, I don't know what the severity of that injury is, but I don't think that that would necessarily change the plans, because even if she's out, I think that that Damage Control could do the Freebirds rule, and instead of Asuka, it's Dakota Kai that comes in and fills in that void and it tags with Kairi Sane. So I still think that this could still play out regardless of whether or not Asuka is one of the champions going in. But if this is a tag match that they go with, honestly, I would take out a second, third, fourth, fifth mortgage and place it all on Bianca Belair and Naomi winning. Let's look at the men's side of the tag team division. The WWE Undisputed Tag Team Champions, members of Judgment Day, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, who were the champions the last time that I made this video. In the last video, I had predicted that it was going to be Team Awesome Truth to be the ones to dethrone Judgment Day, and I thought that it could potentially happen as early as something like Elimination Chamber, but I figured this was best set for a WrestleMania moment so that R-Truth and The Miz, two longtime workhorses for the WWE, can get that big WrestleMania moment for themselves. But now there's a ladder match with 6 teams, and R-Truth and The Miz did qualify, so there is still an opportunity for this to be the case. And I do believe that they are going to win one half of the titles, because I do also believe that they're going to split the titles at WrestleMania, probably, you know, the classic 2 teams grab separate versions of the belt, and that's how we split the titles. So I'm gonna say that the Miz and R-Truth win one set of the belts. And when I look at the SmackDown side of things, I think it's gonna be Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, because even though they're not a traditional tag team by definition, they have been more or less treated like the face of the tag team division on SmackDown over the last month or two. So I wouldn't be surprised if the SmackDown version of the titles goes on these two fellas over here. So I'm gonna say that it's gonna be Awesome Truth and what is this team called again? The New Catch Republic. Let's go to developmental and look at NXT, where the current NXT champions, tag champions that is, are the Wolf Dogs, Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. I do believe that Braun Breaker is on his way to a full-time run in the main roster. He's already doing squash matches, but at some point or another, most likely after NXT Stand and Deliver and WrestleMania weekend, we're gonna have a full-time main roster Braun Breaker. In the last video, I had predicted that it was gonna be Malik and Idris to be the one to dethrone Braun Breaker and Baron Corbin. I honestly had no particularly great reason, aside from the fact that this was a tag team that had never really gotten a chance at the tag titles, and I figured, okay, maybe NXT will move on from Braun Breaker and put the titles on a brand new set of individuals that can help build that division. This doesn't seem to be the case. It doesn't seem to be where the narrative is going. If anything, I think it might be going towards these two guys in Axiom and Nathan Frazier, who are both just electric. When they tag team together, it's kind of crazy. If you squint, they kind of remind me of Brian Kendrick and Paul London. They are absolutely fantastic, all over the place, super high energy. You don't know what they're gonna do because there's always gonna be something crazy up their sleeves. And I do believe that Braun Breaker is gonna be on his way out, and I think that's gonna leave Baron Corbin to either go back to the main roster or to stay in NXT doing a singles run. And I think the tag team division is gonna be carried by these two for a while. In the last video, I said that I don't think anyone is gonna beat Obafemi, because Obafemi is absolutely indestructible. In fact, I had predicted that the person that would dethrone Obafemi for the North American Championship was gonna be Lexus King, which is a hilarious thought to think of now, considering he did have a title match against Obafemi, but got absolutely squashed by Obafemi because Obafemi absolutely ate him alive. My logic was gonna be that the only way right now to beat Obafemi is with underhanded tactics, and I don't think that anyone right now is better at underhanded tactics in NXT than the King, Lexus King. Where are my intellectuals at? Actually, some of you guys called yourselves the intellectual predators. I don't know how to feel about that one, but Obafemi is unstoppable. He's destroying everyone to the point where I'm starting to think that only like 1990s Hulk Hogan is the only one that could beat him, because he could just be like, oh, you know, Obafemi being champion, this is not gonna work for me, brother. I'm gonna need that title. It's not gonna be Hulk Hogan, obviously. I'm kidding. I think it might be Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs brings the physicality to help match against somebody like Obafemi. He does have an up-and-coming triple threat match, most likely hasn't been properly announced, against Dijak and Obafemi at NXT Stand and Deliver. He could win the title there without pinning Obafemi and instead pinning Dijak instead. And on top of that, there's this bigger overarching story involving Josh Briggs and Obafemi, because it also has Josh Briggs' former tag partner Fallon Henley starting to get involved. So this could be a situation where the boys come back together to try and take out Obafemi. I don't know. Look, I'm just saying, the real answer is no one can beat Obafemi, but if I have to pick someone, I feel like the best writing on the wall belongs to Josh Briggs. Logan Paul, all right? Last video, I was a little bit upset with Logan Paul because he was just not defending his US title. He wasn't making enough appearances, but now he's a full-time performer on SmackDown, and I'm very happy. He's there every week. He's advancing storylines, having free matches. It's great. Logan Paul is exactly what I want him to be right now. In the last video, I had predicted that it was going to be LA Knight. Now, this was before AJ Styles in storyline flew 50 hours or whatever it is to Australia to cost LA Knight the Elimination Chamber match. What I thought was going to happen was that Logan Paul and LA Knight, who'd been kept apart for a really long time since Money in the Bank 2023, were finally going to come to blows and start a feud during the Elimination Chamber match, which could blow off into a WrestleMania match for the United States Championship. This did not happen in any capacity. We're getting LA Knight versus AJ Styles in a admittedly very well-built feud, and we have Logan Paul already in a WrestleMania match going up against Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Who do I think is going to dethrone Logan Paul for the United States Championship now? I think it's going to be Randy Orton, and I don't think it's going to be a WrestleMania. I think that Logan Paul is going to hold this thing for a while. If anything, I think that Randy Orton could dethrone Logan Paul in his home state of Ohio at the upcoming SummerSlam, as they've already announced where it's going to be, and it's going to be in Logan Paul's backyard. Logan Paul's also the face of the poster for SummerSlam, and I really believe that they're going to give him a really high-profile singles match. I don't think that for Logan Paul it gets more high-profile than a singles match against Randy Orton, because I think at WrestleMania, Logan Paul is going to get away with this victory by pinning not Randy, but Kevin Owens instead, leaving this potential one-on-one feud still on the table for it to happen at a place like SummerSlam. Gunther still seems to have no end in sight for this reign, to the point where I almost just don't even want to predict who's going to dethrone him. In the last video, I said that it was going to be Braun Breaker, mostly because I thought at the time that they were going to do everything that was planned for Brock Lesnar, who was canceled, and give it all to Braun Breaker and have Braun Breaker versus Gunther at WrestleMania instead of Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. It's pretty logical stuff. I don't think that I was completely out of line there. I did believe that if it was Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, that Gunther would have won. But had they done Gunther Braun Breaker, I believe that Braun Breaker would have won, because it would have been a great way to catapult an up-and-coming megastar for the WWE. There was no better way to catapult him to the top of the card than to have him destroy the longest reigning Intercontinental champion of all time and most dominant Intercontinental champion of all time. Now, however, this isn't even in the realm of possibility to happen, because Braun Breaker, they're doing the Ryback treatment where he's just squashing people from NXT Level Up in 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds at a time. And I don't think that he's going to be anywhere near the WrestleMania card or anywhere near any WWE PLEs for a while, as the WWE slowly builds him up. I really thought that they were really going to hit the ground running with Braun Breaker, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I can't believe I'm saying this. I think it might be Chad Gable. I think it might be Chad Gable, because they've given Chad Gable the best storylines, the best motivations to beat Gunther out of anyone. And he's not even the one with the WrestleMania match. That belongs to Sami Zayn. And I don't think Sami Zayn is going to beat Gunther. I think after WrestleMania, we could still get Gunther versus Chad Gable, because that's what the people want to see. You can't give Chad Gable such a great story, such great promos, such great vignettes, and the best motivation possible to beat somebody like Gunther and not have him be the one to beat Gunther. Look, I think I was very off of this bandwagon a few months ago in late fall. I really believe that they could have never in a million years reinstigated this feud to the point where it would get me to want Chatty Daddy to win the Intercontinental Championship from Gunther. But God damn it, they did it. I'm on board. Do it. Gunther's going to be fine if he loses. He could just be catapulted right to the main event. Chatty Daddy, he needs to put a smile on his daughter's face, damn it. Next up, we have the NXT Women's Championship. I'm not going to spend too much time here because my predictions haven't really changed. I believe that it was going to be Roxanne Perez. Now, in the last video, I said that Roxanne Perez looked like she was starting to have some heel tendencies, that maybe that could snowball into a full-fledged heel turn and would potentially lead to a match between Lyra Valkyria and Roxanne Perez at Stand and Deliver. Well, folks, I was right. That's exactly what they ended up doing. It wasn't just a foot in the water heel turn, like maybe just an attitude or an edge. This was a full-blown heel turn, and it's a heel turn that's working for me. Her promos feel just so much more impassionate and feel so much more believable than her character beforehand, to the point where not necessarily do I want to compare it to Drew McIntyre and how much he's evolved his character since turning heel, but I do believe that this is enough of an evolution for Roxanne Perez to have this not feel like a repeat of her first championship reign as a babyface. So I'm on board for this. I think that she should win at Stand and Deliver as well. Io Sky is still your WWE Women's Champion, and I do believe that she's going to lose the title at WrestleMania. I feel like they've been telling just too good of a story for the Royal Rumble winner, Bayley. And frankly, come on, Bayley deserves this moment. She deserves a WrestleMania championship victory. She deserves to finish her story. And right now, to me, this is the best grassroots level wrestling storyline going on right now that doesn't have these grandiose movie stars involved. All right, this is just a simple story of a mentor betrayed by the person they were mentoring, and now they have to put them down. It's a very simple story. It's a really simple way of how we got there, and it works for me. So give me Bayley. That's what I said last video. That's what I'm sticking with. Rhea Ripley is too hot right now to lose at WrestleMania to Becky Lynch. I just don't think that the WWE is going to sacrifice their up-and-coming 20-something-year-old megastar in Rhea Ripley and sacrifice her at WrestleMania to a megastar, yes, but an aging megastar that's probably not got too many years left as a top performer in Becky Lynch. That's why I was starting to look on the younger side of things. That's why in the last video, I thought that it might be somebody like Jade Cargill. In fact, I said that it could be Jade Cargill or even Bianca Belair, but we would need to swap brands, etc. And I thought that that was possible. After WrestleMania, perhaps we do another draft that jumbles up the rosters. I think that's completely doable. Now, I ended up going with Jade Cargill because I made this last video shortly after the Royal Rumble. I think that there was a lot of hype, and I felt like in terms of raw strength and pure aura, I felt like Jade Cargill matched up better against Rhea Ripley than more or less anyone else in the WWE. Now, however, I'm a little bit nervous that Jade Cargill might not deliver right away in big singles feuds because they are just hiding her. They're doing nothing with her. And to me, that's concerning. I don't know if it's concerning to you, but if they're hiding the pudding, I'm starting to believe that maybe the pudding isn't as good as it was advertised, perhaps. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to like who I went with. I thought that it could be Bianca Belair, but I think Bianca Belair is going to be really busy with Damage Control for a really, really long time. Could still happen that we have Bianca Belair go over to Raw, but there's quite a bit of degrees of separation right now between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. So much so that I think that the only way that we get to Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley is a WrestleMania 41 match, because I think that match is way too big to do at any upcoming B-tier PLE or even the SummerSlams of the world. That match is way, way, way too big to not do at WrestleMania. You're going to hate this, all right? Just brace yourself. Charlotte Flair. Don't unsubscribe just yet. Relax. I'm not saying I want this, but when I look at the most likely person with enough star power to defeat Rhea Ripley, I do come back to Charlotte Flair. We are at the very least in the same realm of getting these two on the same show, because when Charlotte Flair comes back, she's for sure going to be on Monday Night Raw, because her husband, Andrade, is now back in the WWE and a member of Monday Night Raw. Andrade has already been having, not necessarily a feud yet, but interactions with the members of Judgment Day. And I think that Andrade is our bridge to get us back to Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. Part 3, part 4, I don't know where we're at right now with these matchups. However, I will also understand that it's a bit hypocritical of me to say that, well, you know, you said, Santi, that Becky Lynch shouldn't win because she's aging and, you know, how can you dethrone the up-and-coming young superstar, but then say that Charlotte Flair could be the one to dethrone the up-and-coming young superstar? Yes, but there's a difference, because at the very least, Charlotte Flair has a narrative to go after should she win, which is legacy and becoming, you know, a more decorated champion than anyone in the history of the WWE. She at least has that story to take us on. Do I like this? Fuck no. Honestly, I'd rather it be Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, but that's so long from now that I have to go with someone else that is more likely to come back sooner and potentially take the title in a couple months. Ilya Dragunov, in my eyes, is destined for the main roster in this upcoming call-up, most likely after WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver. I don't think he has anything left to do in NXT. He's beaten everyone. He's had banger after banger in NXT. It's time to do all of those things on the main roster. I think his time in NXT is coming to an end. In the last video, I thought that perhaps Carmelo Hayes was going to be the one to dethrone Ilya Dragunov and take the title into a title match against Trick Williams at this year's Stand and Deliver. That didn't end up happening. Instead, what we end up getting was something a bit surprising, but a bit of a pleasant surprise, and I do believe he's going to be the one to dethrone Ilya Dragunov. That's Tony D'Angelo, the head of the family, the boss of NXT. Now, here's the thing, all right? I said that Ilya Dragunov is most likely on his way up to the main roster. Tony D'Angelo has been on NXT since NXT 2.0. He's ready to go up to the main roster, but I think that they're going to keep him on NXT for quite a while longer. Why do I think that? I think that because, one, they just added a bunch of people to his family. They added Rizzo, and anytime Rizzo's on screen, everyone in my Twitch chat says Jizzos for Rizzos, but they also added a guy named Luca Crucifino. They're both green as grass, 22 and 23 years old. They literally just hatched from the WWE Performance Center. If they were to move up the family, there's no way that Luca Crucifino and Rizzo are ready to go up to the main roster. They need to be seasoned on NXT around some NXT veterans like Stax and Tony D'Angelo. So the family right now has too many newbies to be called up to NXT, which tells me they're going to be around for a while. Two, there's this full rebranding of the family. They even got a new Titantron, a new entrance theme. To me, they're here for the long haul on NXT, unlike Ilya Dragunov, who to me is ready to go to the main roster. So put the title on the Don of NXT. I think he's going to run with this thing for a while as well. I hate predicting for the World Heavyweight Championship because it's just so damn all over the place. Sometimes I'll think it's Nakamura, Finn Balor, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. Oh, Drew McIntyre again. Dude, we're all over the place with this thing, and my predictions have just been wildly off for the entire year that we've been doing these videos. Last video, I said, and this is crazy, I said that he was going to be cashed in on by Damian Priest. And then immediately after Damian Priest cashes in, because I said that he was going to cash in at Money in the Bank in Toronto, he would then get cashed in on by the Money in the Bank winner from earlier in the night, in Sami Zayn. Dude, I don't know. I don't like this booking, but that's what I went with, all right? I think it's going to be Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre has absolutely reinvented himself. He is in a renaissance period of his character work. It's crazy to think that a guy that's already lost so many times to Seth Rollins in such a short amount of time has managed to change just about every feeling that I had about him going into a show like WrestleMania. From, oh God, we've seen this before too. Hell yeah, I can't wait to see this match again, because Drew McIntyre right now is probably the most interesting, charismatic, and entertaining heel in the WWE. And he did this all in a span of like 2 months. It's absolutely brilliant, the stuff that he's been doing. And I think he's ready. I think he's ready to win this big one at WrestleMania. World Heavyweight Championship has been confusing, but over the last couple months, so has the WWE Undisputed Championship, currently being held by Roman Reigns. Because in the last video, I said it was going to be The Rock, and then I changed my mind and went to Cody Rhodes, and then went back to The Rock. Dude, it was Cody Rhodes, Rock, Cody Rhodes, Rock. I was just juggling those two names. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable just going Cody Rhodes. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what they say. We don't need to make this another year-long storyline for Cody to finish his stupid goddamn story. Just have him finish his story at WrestleMania 40, and let's go tell a different tale of Roman Reigns versus The Rock for next year's WrestleMania, because I'm pretty confident that that's where they're going to go. Or perhaps The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. I don't know. But this year's WrestleMania, just make this happen. Don't stretch this out longer than it needs to. You can't have a back-to-back two-time Royal Rumble winner lose back-to-back. No way. No chance. All right, folks, that's it for the video. Let me know if you feel I got anything completely wrong, or maybe something I said that you feel very confident in. But that's it. I'm done. Get out of here.